Hey, what is going on, everybody? Today we are going to be showing you my new favorite way to run my skill build. I've been running a lot of skill builds for farming, right? It's a lot easier to run those than run rifle builds. Sometimes you get bored of just running a straight DPS build and you want to run something else that can put out a lot of damage and help you clear these heroic control points, these heroic missions. So I've been messing around with some other builds, and I had a hardwire build a while back, but for some reason feedback loop was never really working. It looks like they finally got it together and it is working now, and I'm actually enjoying this one better than the gold skill build that you saw me put out, I want to say about a month ago. And the reason why is the way this actually works. If you've been taking a look at any of this gameplay, you're gonna see I constantly have my seekers. Like, I throw my seekers out, I put out my turret, my seekers are back, I throw out my seekers, and then I'm gonna have a 30-second cooldown. But look, my seekers are back again. I throw my seekers out. As soon as they go off, they're already back again, and they're consistently back. And this is what's crazy about this build. Like, you can constantly have your seekers and constantly spam them if you're just a little bit lucky. But overall, if you build it right, you should be able to get those seekers back consistently, as you guys just saw in this gameplay. So the way I have this hardwire build set up is spec to make sure that I can get my seekers back, and I still want them to hit really hard, right? So we have a 4-piece hardwire, and then we have 2 pieces of gold. And we'll show you exactly how I run this build. Before we do, let's dive into the weapons though. So the weapons, we'll do a quick overview. I'm running the Surge rifle. It's the LVOA named rifle, and this comes with perfect spike, so headshots grant 25% skill damage for 8 seconds. And as long as I'm getting those headshots, I'm not worried about the damage it's doing. I'm just worried about getting those headshots, so that way I can get that additional 25% skill damage on my seekers or the mortars that you guys saw in the previous clip. Now, for my secondary, I like running the send-off, and the reason why I like running this is because it does have a holster talent perfectly rooted. While equipped or in cover, skill damage and healing is increased by 30% for 15 seconds. Now, the buff is lost when exiting cover, but can occur once every 60 seconds. And that's what's really good about this, because this is a holster talent, so I can just leave this holstered and be using my Surge rifle. But that's enough for the weapons. Those are the main 2 weapons I'm using. Don't worry about how you mod them however you want. It's just those are the weapons you want. So we are running a 4-piece hardwire, and the reason why we pick a 4-piece is because the 2-piece gives us 15% skill haste, 3-piece gives us 15% skill damage that we want. The 4-piece feedback loop, this is the real reason why we want it. Whenever you use a skill, your other skill is automatically refreshed and increase the skill damage by 10% for 20 seconds. This can occur once per 20 seconds. So we're going to get an increase of skill damage for 10 seconds, and it's an automatic refresh on those seekers. And that's where you saw when I threw out those seekers, and then I deploy my skill, my seekers are already back, and that's how that works. That's how feedback loop works. So it's actually a really good skill because you get that skill damage plus you get that instant charge back. Now, if you pair that with the right talents on your chest piece, you could always have it. And that's what we're going to get into next, my chest piece. So the chest piece, I'm running a China Light chest piece. This gives me 15% explosive damage. I'm using seekers and mortars, so that's why this is important. Now, we have skill tier 1 on here. We do have status effects, but I ideally would like to have skill haste. Then we have skill damage. Then I put a mod on there for skill haste. Now, for the talent, we're running skilled. Skill kills have 25% chance to reset skills on cooldowns. And that's what you were seeing at the very beginning, where I was getting those skills back consistently. Of course, feedback loop reset it once, but then after that, I wasn't using feedback loop. I was just throwing my seekers out. And if you noticed, every time I was getting a kill, that skill would proc, and it was refreshing my skills. And that's what was really good about it. That's why it was those 2 hand in hand pair up really good, and that's why I say if you build it right, you can have enough damage to make sure that you have that damage to proc that skill. Now, if you don't want to run skills on a chest piece, you can run the hardwire chest piece. It has a really good talent on the chest piece that's going to increase the damage from 10% to 25% damage. But I personally would like to, I'll take that negative 15% damage and only take the 10% damage, but have skilled and have my skills come back, and I can spam those seekers more and more. That's why I prefer running skilled over running the hardwired chest, but I'll let you guys pick that for yourself. Now let's get into the holster. The holster is our second piece of hardwire. We're gonna have skill tier here and skill damage. On the mask, you saw that we had skill tier and skill damage, the same thing. Same thing is gonna go for the knee pads. We have skill tier, skill damage. The reason why you want that skill damage is you want those seekers and those mortars to hit hard. Now for the gloves, this is where we're gonna go with the wyvern. The wyvern gives us a one piece 10% skill damage. We wrote skill tier on here. We have skill damage and skill haste. Now, if you have some God roll gloves that are China light and then you have a God roll wyvern chest piece, you can swap it out. It's just, this is the way. Those two pieces can swap out right there. And if you really want to run the hardwire chest, well, you can put the China light mask instead. However you guys want to run it, but these are the two pieces you want, China light and wyvern. Now for the backpack, the final piece, and we're running the backpack because the backpack has a really good talent that I really like, right? So if we look, we have core attributes skill tier, we have the attributes of skill damage, then we do have skill haste on here. But the backpack has a talent, right? The talent is short circuit, decreases feedback loop cooldown from 20 seconds to 10 seconds. Yes, 10 seconds. Now you pair that up with skilled, and that's how those seekers, bam, 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 you can keep spamming them. And when your seekers are hitting really hard and you have really good rolls, say once you get these skill damage rolls out, that's why I prefer. Currently, I just jumped on the hardwire bandwagon. For a while, I was running the gold, and then because I felt like the backpack talent wasn't really working, and now that it's consistently working, I've been switching, and I really like the hardwire. And I think a lot of you guys might actually switch too. I'm not saying one is way better than the other, but this one's actually pretty good. Now for the seekers, look at my seekers. Look how much damage they do. Raw damage, we have 2.8 million damage. We have a cooldown of 29 seconds, which we're not going to worry about because we're going to get them back anyway. The blast radius is 2 meters, and the number of mines, 10 mines on there. Yes, we have 10 mines on there. So we pair that up with one of my favorite skills, the artillery. Now the artillery is going to do, look at that, 3.2 million damage, ammo 10. Now the way we have the mods on these, I forgot to show you on the clusters. We have damage, so you want to put damage, and then the one that gives you one extra seeker. And that's what I would recommend putting on there. You don't need the skill haste on here because remember with feedback loop and with skilled, you want that extra damage so that way it automatically proc. Now for artillery, we have on here we have damage. We do have one extra mortar round, and then on this one we have skill haste. Ideally, I wouldn't mind getting rid of skill haste if we can get another damage on here, but I'm not sure. I haven't got any other mods, but that's what I have right now, skill haste. But if one of you guys got a skill damage mod for this spot right here, let me know. So I would, if I could, go damage, but right now it's damage, skill haste, and one extra mortar. I know a couple of you guys are gonna ask, so the skill haste on this is 67%. So 67% is my skill haste on this build. So I think they're both really solid builds. Like, I'm not saying gold builds aren't as good as hardwire builds. I just think that if you wanna have your skills back consistently, if you have skills that you want to be able to spam like seekers, the hardwire build is going to be 100% the way to go. Now you do get a couple talents that you can put on the backpack, right? I could run shock and awe on a gold build. I can get a little bit more skill haste. Still really good builds. Honestly, if you want to run a gold build, I still run my gold build every now and then, but I've actually gotten some really good hardwire pieces that I've been able to min-max this, as you guys saw, and get almost all maxed out rolls. And now that I have the pieces, I'm able to throw this together. But I think this is probably going to be the skill build that I use going forward, for the fact that I can consistently get my seekers back if I can get that skill to proc. Now maybe on super hard difficulties like legendary, it might be a little bit harder to proc skills, but you still should be able to. Maybe not as often as when you're doing heroic control points and heroic missions. But there's nothing more satisfying than seeing your seekers come back over and over and over again. And I hope that the backpack's talents continue to work successfully and they don't have a hiccup like they did where they weren't currently working. But now they're good to go, and I'm enjoying them. I'm enjoying at least hardwire right now with the backpack talents actually working really good. And I think a lot of you guys should give this build a chance. If you've been only running the gold build, if you've been running my skill gold build, we'll try this one out, and I'm sure you guys will 100% enjoy it. Don't forget, if you guys enjoy these types of videos, always leave a thumbs up. Always helps out the channel. Well, I think it helps out the channel. No one ever knows. But yeah, leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next Division 2 video. Nothing But Skills is out.